Hi, everybody. Welcome to Habitat Demos for Friday, January 26th. As always, we have some good demos for you today. We'll start off with Elliot showing some improvements to the HabDev environments. So take it away, Elliot.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so what I have here is a VM. So we have some good docs around this now, but what I've taken cooking show style, already set up the VM for the environment. So all you have to do now, once you have the environment up through a VM, which we provide a vagrant file for, or you can roll your own VM if you want. Anyway, so once you have it up, you can go to wherever your checkout is this is for Builder. So we separated the repos this week. So wherever your checkout of the Builder repo is, and you can run a hab studio enter. And that's going to lay down some nice to have tools. I call them creature comforts, PS, curl, things like that. And then it's going to output some docs here of like stuff you can do. So one of my favorite things to do is build Builder. So all you have to do to build Builder now is type build-builder, and it's going to make sure the Builder is started up for you. It'll clone down all of the Habitat dependencies now instead of relying on, like we were before, we were relying on OS dependencies. So now you're going to get everything just like you would in a production build right in your dev environment. And of course, now that I've got my video on, it's going to be slow. But so this whole process, if you're starting off fresh with no cache, it takes about 15 minutes. With caching, so we've got some pretty aggressive cargo caching now. We're using Mozilla's project SC Cache. So each project shares a cache, and so if you've got one crate and, like, let's say origin server, it'll be shared across the worker and session server and all those projects. You can see how fast it compiled. By the way, once it downloaded the Habitat dependencies, the actual cargo compile time for no changes was 0.4 seconds. So that's pretty that's pretty good, especially for my setup where I've got a shared file system. So anyway, this is available today. You can check it out. Hopefully it's a little faster and a little bit more stable, since we're using all Habitat packages now to run our own dev environment, sort of drinking our own champagne.
Thanks, Elliot. That looks awesome. I'm just going to call out a couple of really cool advantages to having this. First of all, it makes us dev deploy to acceptance and production. So that's a big advantage for the dev team. And secondly, this is also another big one. In the past, for building Builder, we had a number of things, secrets and other things like that, that were kind of restricted to the core developers only. But now with this change and some other changes that have come in, basically everybody has the same standing in terms of being able to develop end-to-end on Builder. So it's actually a fairly big improvement that's been a long time in coming, but super awesome to see it finally here. All right, next, Ian will give us a demo on some of the functional testing for core plans. So take it away, Ian.
Cool. Give me 1 second to figure out how to share my screen. There we go. Okay. Is that visible? It probably is over here on the left. Okay, so yeah. So one of the things I've been working on for a couple weeks now is some more automation around core plans. And specifically, like, one of the things that we've been running into with core plans over the last couple of months with regards to getting new PRs merged and getting new features into the plans is an issue around testing. There's still a whole lot of manual work that's involved in getting core plans actually merged and released. And the reason why is that we don't have any automated testing over top of all of our plans. So this is sort of an attempt. This is what we're looking at here is actually a POC, and I'll run through it real quick. But this is sort of an attempt to get to a place where we have, first of all, just a pattern for testing packages, but also a way to test our entire build sets. The determinism in Habitat is kind of part of its magic, its superpowers, if you will. But when it comes down to testing inside of the context of that determinism, that's a hard problem to solve. So actually what we've done is we've created a concourse pipeline, and I'll just run through it really quick. We have a little resource that's all this is going to be open source. We'll have a blog post on it as soon as it's totally done. But we have a little resource out here that
just a second. Is there any way you can share just the left desktop? Because right now it's showing both your left and right desktops, and it's so small. I'm nearsighted, and it's really hard to read.
Yeah, let me see real quick.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think you're muted as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. It doesn't look like I'll actually be able to.
Okay, never mind then. We can squint.
Yeah, my bad. So and reading this, like, I can actually make this bigger so that that's easier to read, and you can see kind of what's going on there. So we've got a resource out here that actually checks for any of the packages. Right now, this is in my own little repo, but the resource just checks Builder to see as an inbound change happens, which means once you've merged a plan into master and Builder has done all of its build magic, what we can actually do is like pick up that build group, and from that place in the pipeline, we can then validate that build group has no failures. And then the next thing that we can do is we can actually do some functional testing. So a lot of this pipeline actually came to us from our friend Justin Carter, who wrote a similar pipeline for Stark and Wayne. Our testing is a little bit different. Our pipeline is a little bit slightly different shape. But the gist of it is we can validate the inbound change for a build group, which means if you have a reverse dependency that comes in, or you have you merge your package, all your reverse dependencies get built, we can validate that the entire build group was actually a success, top to bottom. And once we've got that, we can actually kick off some functional tests. So I'll show you one that's broken because that's more useful. And basically what you end up with is you can actually spin up clusters of services and test them like you would do anything else with regards to functional integration tests. So in the case of console here, what we've got is we've got a test harness that actually spins up 3 different configurations, starting with a standalone configuration. And it makes sure that the cluster is up. Then once the cluster is up, we actually drop some data into Concourse or into console and make sure that it's that it persists. And then we can go on from there. We can do the same thing again with various cluster topologies. So you're going to start to see, once this POC goes to prod, you're going to start to see some changes inside of core plans where you'll be getting test harnesses that are included inside of packages. And hopefully what we'll have when that's all said and done is pipelines for all of those packages. Right now, we've kind of got some safety nets in place where, for an example, like MySQL, this MySQL package actually doesn't have any tests. So it's passing right now its test statement, but only because we have no way to validate. The other thing that we've done is we've actually got some notifications set up inside of these pipelines. So if you go into the notifications channel, you can kind of see some of that stuff coming through. All this currently happening just from my own origin, my own packages to test the POC. But a majority of that functionality is like ready to go now. So we should be seeing some of this live for core plans hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
All right, Ian, thank you. That looks awesome. And I know it's a lot of work to get that up and running, but it's going to be another huge win for us in terms of getting that extra level of reliability on the core plans. And for anybody who depends on core plans, I'm sure just seeing this is going to make people pretty happy. Okay, last demo, I'm going to give a quick demo on some very small set of changes in the builder output. So let me share my screen real quick. Okay, so this is actually my own dev environment. It's running the new builder dev environment. I'm going to quick build a new build here and watch the output. Click view output. Follow the log. It's going to take a little bit here. So while the output's going, I'm just going to talk about what the change is. With builder and the build process, we have not just the build part, but there's also a number of other steps that happen after the build is complete. And so there's an exporting step, there's a post-processing step. And what happens in terms of post-processing is we upload the produced binary to the depot itself, and then we promote, we make some changes in terms of what channel that package is in, and maybe some other stuff as well. So previously, we never knew that was happening because there was no output. Now there's just it's not much. It's just a couple lines here that says begin and post processing. But if there is a failure, then there's more output that gets shown instead of just this end. And so sometimes what would happen is you would see a build. It looked like it succeeded, but it was actually failed because the post processing failed, and you never knew why. So now we protect against that scenario. And if it fails because of post processing, the end user can have at least a little bit of understanding of what happened there. So that is that demo. I think that's it for demos today, unless there's anyone else who has any. Um, and if not, hope everybody enjoyed the demos. And we'll see you next week.